I want to welcome to the show right now our first guest, my old friend, a good man. I'm defending him today, the great Joey Gannascoli. What's up, buddy?
Artie, how are you, brother?
Good to talk to you, man. Kind of a weird day for you.
Yeah.
You know, first of all, before we get to this crap with the Post and everything,
Yeah.
you know,
But what are we going to get to what you want to get to? Ichiro just had a walk-off.
No, I know. I saw that. This is a sports show. Let's talk about the most important thing. Ichiro just won the game for the Yankees. No, but, I mean, let's talk about... This is all because a great actor, and from every indication from everyone who did know him, a great man is dead. So just talk a bit, a little bit about your actual experience. You did work with the guy. You worked very closely with the guy. No one can deny that. You made TV. You did. You made TV history with this guy, a gay character in the mob, and his character liked the fact that you were an earner and didn't care and defended your character. Those were some of the greatest episodes in the history of television.
Well,
So
so
what was it like to work with the guy? I mean, that's something you could certainly talk about. No one can blame you for that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you. Listen, I've said it in every interview I've done, and it's been documented that I wasn't close to the guy. I wasn't really close friends, but we did have some times together and working together. But the things that he did for me, but working with him, I mean, it's just you try to. He raised the bar so high, and a lot of the actors did, So you'd certainly want to try to hold your own against him, and make yourself look bad, make the show look bad. But you want to, sort of a nod of approval that maybe the scene went okay and it was good, and so on. It doesn't have to actually come out and say it, but you can tell, in someone's eyes. He was, and then by all accounts, from everyone that's ever been around him, that he's just a regular down-to-earth Jersey guy. He was just tremendously gifted.
Yeah, generous, and all you guys did raise your game. He did, you did. I mean, you were great in scenes with him. Tony Sirico played Paulie Walnuts, was amazing. I mean, he's been in some Woody Allen movies and stuff. Just a great New York actor. He plays usually one guy, but he does it in an amazing way, and that's hard to do. And he could do comedy too. All you guys, you could tell you can make people laugh. And, I mean, I don't know how anybody could get mad at you for talking about acting with the guy when you clearly did Emmy Award-winning work with him. It didn't seem, Joe, and this might just, I don't know anything about it. Obviously, I'm a complete outsider, but it didn't seem like he was really that close to anybody. He seemed kind of like a typical great actor who was sort of to themselves, a private guy, right?
Yeah, I don't know much about him. He did come out, from what I understand, to support guys if they were doing appearances and stuff. Listen, when I first couple of years when I was on the show, I had a restaurant in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, and
right.
A lot of the cast were coming out to do a meet and greet on the show at the restaurant, and he got wind of it. And he said, how come you come ask me to come out to your place? I said, Jim, you work like 16-hour days. You're doing a lot of physical acting. I mean, no one wants to bother you. You probably want to rest if you have a day off, if you're not shooting. He said, no, I want to come. It'll be fun. So he comes on a night when he was sick as a dog. Sniffling, runny nose. You could just see it in his eyes. He was sick. And there was a line down the block. He stayed for 2 hours. I mean, he stayed for, I'm sorry, not 2 hours. He stayed till the very end, till everybody, took a picture, signed whatever he wanted to, and so on. And it wasn't like, it wasn't 2 hours, it was more than that. And that was the thing. He also came to my wedding, and he spoke at and said beautiful things to my wife and I, in front of everybody, which wasn't easy for him to do, because he's a very, low-key, sort of, I don't know.
Yeah, he's not a comedian. He's not a guy who does something like that, right? Yeah, it's a different type of thing.
Probably like De Niro's like that, too. He's very just low-key and
yeah, you could tell.
Yeah. And another thing he did was that when my character did take its turn, he took me aside and said, if you're uncomfortable with this, we can go in and talk to David and say you don't want to do it. And I said, well, it's kind of like, what I had asked for, and I'll leave it up to them. But he was willing to do that for me. Now, in this Post article, first of all, Artie, they said when I started the show, I had a PR person.
Right.
As my daughter's eyes. Never did I have a PR person for a day, an hour, a second. I didn't need one. I didn't even have an agent at the time. Never mind a PR person, please. And I mean, I've done my own PR. You know what I mean? I have no problem about getting on a phone and promoting something. I don't have that problem at all. And when the show ended, everybody, because the season was focused on me, and it was the big kill, and everybody wanted to talk to me. And so why wouldn't I? The show was over.
Of course.
I never leaked out anything when I was doing the gate thing and this and that. I was watching that scene with the security guard when I come on out when I first met you, with 20 guys in a house. I never let out anything what was going to go on. It was a shock to them as like everyone else. So.
You know why? You know why, Joe? You know why I know you're telling the truth? Because I remember back in those days when you would come on Howard, and we never, as far as I remember, even though that wasn't my department, I can never remember people going, Joey G's got a PR guy, he's a pain in the ass. Like, you were always readily available and never spoke out of turn. And right, everybody wanted to talk to you. The entire season focused on you, you know?
Yeah, listen, I mean, I know a lot of people, Artie, and I have a lot of friends. I mean, never going to really say I'm a douchebag, you know? They might say a lot of things, but they can't really say I'm a douchebag. But this, you know, and so I, you know, they did a bit of a hatchet job, and they said a cast member I know set it up, and it's been confirmed, and someone I suspected. And, you know, to say that the whole cast is upset for grandstanding in Jim's death, which is, first of all, the fact that the focus is on me and this is coming out is so horrific.
You're right. I mean, that's the irony here. Whoever's bringing this up should, you know what, if they're upset about it, wait a month, wait 2 months. The guy's not buried. I mean, what, you know, they're making the story about you, and that's ridiculous. You're not making it about you, they are.
51 years old, the guy leaves behind his 2 kids, and you go back and tell this to the story. If they just did a hatchet job on Jimmy, talking about what he ate, and his lifestyle and things in the past. I mean, who needs to read that? It's all been documented. Why did you even insinuate that the guy was, like, gorging himself and drinking? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I know.
And what am I going to benefit by having my name out there? Going to say, oh, wow, that was really touching. Let's give him a job. Let's put him in the movie. Let's get him a show. Please. What am I going to benefit from it?
Well, no, yeah, you're right. Again, the people leaking this to the Post are the ones who's making it about you and not about Gandolfini. He hasn't been dead for 5 days now. You're right. You know, and that's why I totally defend you here. And again, without mentioning any names, you know, everybody in show business can get carried away with themselves, and there's a lot of self-promotion going on all over the place. And I've known you personally for a long time, and you're one of the least offenders in that area that I've ever seen. And again, you weren't an extra on the show. You weren't a guy who had 5 lines in some episode. You were a major part of one of the biggest TV series ever. What was your relationship like with David Chase, Joe? Because something else that the Post says is that Chase was aggravated with you.
Yeah, you know, listen, well, I mean, the fact that I came back, you know, as the first season, did a different character, and he brought me back was Vito. Why? I don't know. I mean, I didn't have really a lot of contact with him. You know, at one time, he came up to me and said, you're doing a really good job. But this was before everything really started happening. So, I mean, that was kind of amazing, because the guy really never, you know, and then never really much interaction with Chase.
Oh, you did?
No, I didn't.
Right.
No, I didn't. And, you know, listen, the guy changed my life. He took my suggestion and, you know, did it very tastefully. I never imagined what my, you know, that character was going to do that. I just, you know, suggested that this happens in a mob, and what happened? I didn't really see it, but I'm glad that they did it the way they did it, because it was beautifully written.
Were you close to taking Gandolfini up on his offer and maybe putting the nix on it and not doing that character?
Well, you know, he said, listen, you're a Brooklyn guy, and you know a lot of guys, and you have a lot of friends, and it could get kind of weird for you. It's not like you're, you know, from an actor from Kansas City coming in and, you know, doing a show in New York.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, you know, there was a lot of guys that, you know, gave me dirty looks, and guys that are real guys, you know, and weren't comfortable with that, and who knows why. And I got into an altercation with a guy, with a kid whose uncle was a made guy, and
wow.
The whole thing. Yeah, he went after me in a club, and I was juiced up. He was juiced up, and it was a big thing. And they go, "Oh, you know that's so-and-so's nephew." And I go, "Really? I mean, so what does that mean? Like, I can't, you know, act? I don't know."
It's a different world, man. It's still, in some parts of Brooklyn, it's still 1940, man. You're right. Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it could be, it was, you know, it depends on where I'm at, and guys are maybe juiced up. It could get a little out of control. For the most part, people are, great job, love the show, and so on and so forth. Now, with, this story out, not only is it in New York, which everyone read, and they sort of printed my reply to those allegations or those, those statements that they made that online. So who's going to see that? And I'm just...
Well, I mean, it says HBO declined to comment. Gannascoli and his manager, Bonnie Vent, didn't get back to us. I mean, listen, I've dealt with Page Six and the Post before, and they've always been fair to me. As a matter of fact, I love the New York Post. I think it's a great paper. And usually they will print what you say if you get back to them.
Yeah. Now, you know what? I didn't get back. Well, first of all, let me Bonnie Vent, I don't have a manager. I barely have an agent.
Right.
Bonnie Vent approached me years ago and said, "Listen, I do appearances, or I could maybe help you get appearances." And I said, "Okay, great. Whatever you get, fine." I've never met her. I've never gotten a job from her. Nothing. Why I got her, I don't know. When everyone and listen, the first night, CNN. I was getting inundated with texts and emails and phone calls, and I shut it off. I went to bed, and my agent said, now that I have one, and LA says, listen, I got CNN wants to come on at several other stations. I says, why don't you just give him a statement? And the statement, which was read on CNN, which said, I was not close with Jimmy. He touched me in 3 ways that I'll always remember, and he was a gifted and great actor in person. And that was it. That was my statement. So I didn't do it the first day and night. But Bonnie Vent, no, I don't know. So that was the one misnomer. Then they said about the PR, which I've never had. And
so you think all that stuff, like the PR person, it's all coming from a cast member that you think is full of crap, basically, right?
Yeah. It was the person that, I was close to, was at my wedding, but he's got a reputation of taking snips at everybody, has a lot of enemies, was perturbed that people were doing press on Jimmy as several cast members. And why, he went after me because maybe it was all the, listen, I'm looking at Ichiro. You would think after 15 years he'd learn to speak a little English, right? I don't get why he's still got an interpreter. But anyway, good fastball. I hit it. Home run. I saw it. Something. You can't say that in English.
It's a rough day, Joe. Don't get the Yankees aggravated with you.
What a Japanese community.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
No, but I know what you're saying. I think the irony is maybe the person leaking this is more guilty of stuff like this than you are. And from what I hear, if Gandolfini could comment on this, unfortunately he can't, he might think you're being treated a little unfairly too.
Yeah, listen, I went to Jimmy because I thought he was upset about an Emmy problem. And, he understood, it's something that happened during the Emmys where it came out. It was so not a misquoted, but...
misunderstanding?
Yeah, misunderstanding. That's it. I'll tell you this story very quickly. It was at the Emmys, and it was all, I've been through Emmys. It's, pictures everywhere and reporters and asking questions, this and that. And someone said to me, Joe, does the cast use the F word? And I'm thinking, of course we use the F word. It's a mob show. And they say, even Tony? I said, yeah, of course, Tony. He's the boss. Of course he's in the F word. And so the next day it's in the paper. Now, at the time was the problem with Grey's Anatomy when the actor called the other actor the other F word.
Right. Oh, so they were referring to that F word.
Yeah, they were referring
for
to
gay
that,
people.
And it never occurred to me. So
the F word for gay people.
Yeah.
Right.
And it came out in it was in the USA Today, and I was mortified.
Oh, man.
And I should have just knocked on Jimmy's door and said, Jim, this is not what happened. He would have understood immediately. Right. And I would have probably should have called up the reporter and said, listen, you got to straighten this out.
That's where the media are such jerk-offs. Stories like that make me so furious because I've been a victim of not that heinous, but where they just, they say stuff that's a complete lie, based on, trying to just fool you into something. And the print media... guys like Adam Sandler in the past have just stopped. They got so big, thank God, they just stopped talking to them. They refuse. Look, I'm just never talking to you guys again. You're such weasels.
Yeah, I mean, and then you know what? The Post, believe it or not, I'm friendly with the Giants writer. I'm friendly with the guy who came to my house for the Giants Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's a great paper. I think Joe, if you call them yourself, I think while it's still hot, they'd be fair to you. But again, you know, the thing is, Gandolfini is dead, man, and it's just a week before. The fact that they're making you talk about it and not concentrate on the fact that a great actor and a great guy, from all indications, is gone. That's what really sucks, you know.
It's so horrible. And believe me, the woman said, "Do you want to respond to this?" And of course I did. And she emailed me this one and said, "Oh, this went right into my quarantine. I'm sorry, I'll put it in right now." But I said, "Can I have a number so I can talk to you?" I never got a response. So I went back to them and asked them to do like a story. I'm sort of doing the same thing that this person did, and how they bashed Jimmy, and I don't feel that that's right. To even give him like that.
About how he ate a lot and had some other issues. Right? I know, I get it. Yeah, it's look. It's the media. What are you going to do? I personally, I think you're being treated unfairly. So I defend you here. I hope it works out for you. It'll blow over. But again, the big thing is Gandolfini is gone, and it sucks. And you did do a lot of great work with the guy. No one can take that away from you. You know.
Yeah, well, thank you. I mean, again, it's the bottom line is that he's 51 years old and leaves behind a daughter that she's not going to even know.
Yeah.
And he was very close to his son, and and then he found happiness with his wife, and so he was our leader. And I'm just and I'll say it was like, and I said this, I think to the Daily News, I said it was like being Edie and Jimmy were like being on the 27 Yankees with Ruth and Garrick, and I was jumping Joe Dugan at third.